Get my lav mic started here.
Hi, no fancy intro here. We're gonna get right into the information. Today is a video where I'm gonna give you 5 free filmmaking tips, free as in you don't need to buy anything, but also along with those tips, we're gonna be giving you some counter tips. So times where that might not apply and you might wanna actually make the opposite decision. The first thing we're gonna need here though is some example clips to help walk you through those tips. And the second thing we're gonna need is, well, it's an idea we have for how we're gonna shoot this talking head segment. So this is that. Stop moving the camera is the first tip. It can be very tempting to want to be moving the camera in every single shot, but the truth is, sometimes the best thing you can do for your film is to just let the action play out in front of a static angle. Yeah! Move the camera. Filmmaking is different than photography, and the camera gets to move in 3D space in a way that a photo never could. So don't be afraid to do some panning or tilting. Don't be afraid to do some trucking or dollying. Don't be afraid to take the camera in your hands and whip that thing around. If that's what you want to do, just do it. It may feel somewhat masturbatory to move the camera this much, but whatever. It's like a guitar solo. It's fun. Enjoy it. But don't only do guitar solos. Clean your lens, goodness gracious. When you have dust on your lens, it goes a long way towards reducing the overall contrast in your image, but also detail and resolution, and that fact is only further amplified when you have smaller apertures or smaller sensors or even smaller front elements. And also, it's just kinda ew. Destroy your lens.
What did you do?
Turn the monitor around, look at it.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, that's not great.
So we're trying to put some elements onto this cheap UV filter here that are gonna flare out the lens in hopefully interesting ways, because we're trying to make this somewhat ethereal, beautiful, magical conclusion to our sequence where the camera finally makes it onto the dolly and everything has come together in a needlessly epic way. Don't actually destroy your lens, but don't be afraid to try and bake the final image that you're going for in camera. So get a cheap UV filter, experiment with scratches or cracks or dust, and just have fun with it. Stop using your phone.
Why?
You bought a camera.
That's not my camera.
Use it anyways. Use your phone. Here you go. The truth is, basically any phone made in the last 3 to 5 years has a great camera on it. And if you put a little bit of work into the grade, it can match with your cameras for a quick cutaway, no problemo. But the other thing is that phones have a certain level of authenticity, let's say, that a cinema camera just cannot match. So don't be afraid to bust out your phone, try and make something that looks cinematic, or try and incorporate it with a more authentic feeling vibe into your other videos. Phones are pretty cool and you already have one, I think. Show the audience where to look. Could maybe use a little bit more fill, but... Oh. So as filmmakers, it's functionally our job to tell the audience what they should be looking at. We are showing them the important bits of information as they arise in the story. So right now we are being really on the nose with it. This camera needs to start recording, and I'm punching in real close on that record button with the foreground tally light that's gonna go red as well to help reinforce that we are now recording and the video has begun. Let the audience do some of the work. You don't need to spoon feed them every single shot. Feel free to leave something wide in the frame and allow their eyes to wander and try and discover, what am I looking for here? What's going on? We're setting up this kind of introductory shot where we want the viewer to have to figure out what they're looking at. And I like to start most of my YouTube videos this way with a bit of intrigue, a bit of mystery, before I throw you into the scene. So right now, we've got this big chaotic shot, and we're hoping that the viewer will be kind of looking around like, what am I looking at? What am I looking at? And then boom, chaos, you're looking at Dave. That's the goal anyways. One thing to be careful with here is that you're gonna wanna make sure those shots stay on screen longer than something a bit more obvious. Because these types of shots aren't just gonna get subconsciously absorbed by the audience, it's gonna require a little bit of active participation on their part. Make a shot list and use it. There are a few reasons that you would want to use a shot list when planning and executing your shoots. Now, one of the big ones is efficiency, but I like to think about it as peace of mind. So that way, when you're planning for your shoot or you're pitching a shoot to the client, you know exactly what you need to pull that off. And then on the day, you're checking off, like, I got the establishing shot, I got the emotional close-up, I got the slow-mo, whatever. And then you know that you have exactly the shots that you need, and you can drive home not wondering whether or not you forgot something. Stop getting bogged down in your edits because you overshot on every single project. Figure out what shots you're gonna need, write them down, and use the shot list.
Burn the damn shot list.
You don't need a piece of paper to tell you how to be creative. In fact, this entire introduction that we shot involved no planning at all. I wanted to get into it the way I used to shoot short form videos. So many of my all-time favorite shots and sequences had no preparation involved. In fact, they were shots that came spur of the moment, instinctual filmmaking. But not all of them. It's easy to get overwhelmed with all the rules in filmmaking, the things you should do, the things you should never do. But the way I see it, it's an art form, and so you should be experimenting. You should be trying new things. And so if there's anything you learned in this video that you want to try, go for it. And if there's anything in this video that you were like, ugh, gross, no thank you, then ignore it. But the best thing you can do is to pay attention to your films and ask yourself, what is this video saying to me? Today's video is brought to you by our friends over at Storyblocks. Storyblocks is our go-to resource when it comes to all things sound effects, stock footage, After Effects templates, motion graphics, and so much more. You can think of Storyblocks as like an editor's toolbox. They have all the finishing touches that any film is going to need, and sometimes that's a little bit of sound here, sometimes that's a little bit of footage here, and other times it's just a nice title, because I don't know how to make those. And thanks to their very affordable, unlimited, all-access plan, you get access to unlimited downloads from over 1 million assets in their demand-driven library. So if what your edit is asking for is a shot of the mountains, or a nice title, or a whoosh whap whippity sound effect, then go down to www.storyblocks.com/Jesse Driftwood to find out more. Also, there's a link right beneath this video. That would be much easier than typing it in Who types in websites manually?
180-degree shutter, 180 degree. Everything's a 180 in filmmaking. Rules. It's kind of hard to break the rules well if you don't understand them. So learn them and then like throw them in the trash or throw them in your bag and pull them out when they're useful. Okay, I'm in France. Well, I will be tomorrow. But for you, I'm in France.